What's good, everybody? This is Robo and Brendan from All Bark back with another video. Today on the channel, we're doing an NFL preseason week 1 recap, going over all the games that were played, giving some highlights as well as our thoughts on some player performances as well as just the games as a whole. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the action. The Texans took down the Patriots on Thursday night by a final score of 20-9. CJ Stroud's debut did not go as planned, and evaluation-wise, we really need to see more to gauge anything. He had a rough interception on his first drive of the game, locking in on a target and throwing a ball right to a defender. His ball does have some life on it, but like I said, it's just not even close to enough attempts for a real evaluation yet, especially with some poor offensive line play destroying any chance he had at making a few plays. Overall, he was 2 for 4 for 13 yards and a pick on the night. Tank Dell was an absolute beast working with Davis Mills. His elite work ethic looks to be translating really well, and he had an incredible tip drill touchdown catch from Davis Mills, and on the day he went for 5 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Will Anderson played very limited snaps, but was in the backfield on multiple occasions and drew some double teams. For New England, Bailey Zappi struggled early on in this one and couldn't get anything going. Third-string quarterback Malik Cunningham came in late in the game and was very poised in decision-making and looked great at escaping the pocket and made a couple of great throws. Tyquan Thornton had a great catch in the game and could potentially be a solid option for Mac Jones at some point this year. Christian Gonzalez had a great debut with 3 tackles and a forced fumble and a little over a quarter of action, but most notable on the defense was Keon White, who was an absolute force on the edge, dominating the line of scrimmage on almost every snap when he was on the field.
Looking end zone, back shoulder for Dell.
He got it.
Bobbling.
He got it.
And maintaining. Touchdown.
Oh, he sets the feet, and he turns. He tries to secure the catch. It comes around, stays with it.
Out of the 2-minute warning. Dropping back.
And
running in one move to break some ankles into the end zone.
The second game of preseason week 1 was the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. This was definitely a battle of rookie wide receivers, as we had pick 20 JSN going up against pick 24 Jordan Addison. Addison had an unbelievable catch that did not count, but was maybe the highlight of the weekend. Both looked great in this matchup, combining for 4 catches, showing that they are going to make big-time contributions for their respective teams. Zach Charbonnet also looked really good, as he might be the closest thing we've seen compared to Derrick Henry. He had 14 rushing yards and 14 receiving yards in this one. Seattle is making the case of having the best all-around backfield for the future. Drew Lock looked very good, having never played in a Seahawks uniform yet, as he recorded a 104.7 QBR. He is definitely making the case to stay as the number 1 backup behind Geno Smith. Ty Chandler also had a great game with 41 yards rushing and 29 yards receiving, while making a great impression on head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Shoots one left, caught. Jake.
Get a nice play here for Noah Jindor as Ehlers just throws up basically a punt, and it's caught by Landers inside the 10.
The Packers beat the Cincinnati Bengals 36-19 on Friday, and Jordan Love looked okay in this one. He sailed a deep ball with a bit too much arc, which allowed Daxton Hill to make a great play on the ball. The Packers' young weapons look really solid and will help take pressure off of Love in his transition to a starter. Overall in the day, he was 7 for 10 for 46 yards and a touchdown. Sean Clifford had a good game statistically. He did throw a couple of picks, so it was a mixed game overall. He looked pretty comfortable, but I'm not sold he's an NFL talent just yet. On the day, he was 20 for 26 for 208 yards, 2 picks, and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs was frequently open and caught a touchdown pass, and Jaden Reed looked really good in this one. He made an amazing catch and could be a sleeper receiver for Love this year, potentially starting in the slot. Emmanuel Wilson had a huge run for Green Bay and finished for 6 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bengals played all backups, especially on the offense, so it was tough to gauge anything from the game from them. Daxton Hill had a great quarter of football, though, defensively, and could be a breakout player for the Bengals this season, who have a lot to replace in the secondary. DJ Turner had a solid game. He got beat on the deep ball that Dax broke up, but according to PFF, he only gave up 6 yards on 5 targets. Jordan Bettle's debut included a pass breakup, and for Miles Murphy, it looked like he definitely needs some time to develop. His pass rush wasn't there, but you can see the athleticism is top tier with him. Chris Evans broke a big run and ended the night with 7 carries for 49 yards, and Chase Brown couldn't get much on the ground, but he did have 3 catches and 33 yards and looked really solid in the open field. Andre Yosevach was the leading receiver with 4 catches for 50 yards in his NFL debut.
Breaking this down the sideline, and this is home run speed. Emmanuel Wilson. Wilson is gone. Touchdown, Green Bay.
The Atlanta Falcons met with Miami Dolphins in the next preseason game. Atlanta didn't play any of their starters surprisingly, since most of them are extremely young and could definitely use the reps. Arthur Smith did mention that we will see them play a lot more in week 2. One player who did stand out was D. Alford, who had a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown. D has not had any success making it into the NFL so far in his career, but this definitely could give him an edge to make the Atlanta Falcons roster. Godwin Igwebuike also had a great game with 13 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, making his case to make the roster in a stacked backfield in Atlanta. Both Miami QBs, Mike White and Skylar Thompson, struggled in this game, throwing 3 combined interceptions. Some Miami highlights did include second and third round rookies Cam Smith and Devon Achane. Cam Smith had 4 tackles and a pass breakup before leaving with a shoulder injury. Achane didn't have a great rushing stat line, but looked great as a receiver for the Miami Dolphins.
And Alford at his own 20. Cuts it up the middle to the 30. He's free to the 35. There goes Alford. To midfield, has Bailey to beat. Alford's going to go. The punt return for the touchdown. D. Alford for the Falcons. Thompson here, high pass, that's tipped and intercepted. And going the other way is Borders. He's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown.
The Steelers beat the Bucs 27-17 on Friday, and Kenny Pickett was on fire in his only drive of the night, finishing 6 of 7 for 70 yards and a touchdown. Mason Rudolph was pretty solid in relief of him, continuing the Steelers' momentum. Calvin Austin's speed looked unreal. He had a massive touchdown thanks to his speed after the catch, and ended the day with 96 yards of offense. George Pickens had a 33-yard touchdown catch with some impressive yards gained after the catch leading to that score. Darnell Washington got his first NFL catch in this game for the Steelers, going for 9 yards. And for the Bucs, Baker had a solid night, going 8 of 9 for 63 yards on a touchdown pass. And not so much for Kyle Trask, who finished 6 of 10 for 99 yards and a pick. Trey Palmer hauled in that touchdown pass from Baker and finished with 4 catches for 33 yards in addition to the score.
All the way from his teammates to everybody in this community supporting him.
And back to the
Malk is the potential starter.
David Moore.
Janicki's still in it. David Moore.
And moving up across midfield. Takeaways, turnovers are. So they got it right. And an interception. Tucker, he gets the first down. Sean Tucker, and he gets the Bucs touchdown.
That 10-yard penalty will be enforcing the spot of the foul. Replay, third down.
Fire for the end zone at the goal line. They're saying.
Being at the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants game, I can definitely say the Lions' energy was on a different level. The defensive energy never lowered as they continued to put pressure on the Giants all game. Rookie linebacker Jack Campbell had 4 tackles and looked like the Lions linebacker for the future. Brian Branch also had 3 tackles along with Romeo Okoro having 3 sacks. Both looked phenomenal and the defense has a bright future. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have the best game, but the offensive line is to blame for this. He did have an 18-yard catch to make up for it, but I'm very interested to see what he looks like with the starters. Maurice Alexander's 95-yard punt return for a touchdown was a weekend highlight as it sparked the momentum for the Lions and they never turned back. It's definitely safe to say Nick Sudfeld's Detroit career probably came to an end as this was a very bad performance, and the Lions also signed Teddy Bridgewater briefly before the game. Lastly, for the Lions, Jamo didn't have a great game, but it is nice to see him finally get well-needed reps, as he will serve a 6-game suspension going into the regular season. Some highlights for the Giants were Tyrod Taylor's play, solidifying him as the QB backup behind Daniel Jones, and also second-rounder Deontay Banks getting a tackle in his limited action.
End zone, did Jameson Williams come down with that? 3rd and goal from the 1, Martinez gives the Lions the lead. Pressured again. Just lofts it in the air. This will be intercepted to seal the deal on preseason.
The Washington Commanders took down the Browns 17-15 behind a solid start from Sam Howell. Howell finished 9 of 12 for 77 yards and a touchdown against the Browns starting defense, and he threw his touchdown pass to Jahan Dotson, who may be ready for a breakout year as the wide receiver 2 behind Terry. First rounder Emmanuel Forbes had a really nice goal line stop, showing some physicality despite his small frame, and he had a solid game overall. For the Browns, Deshaun Watson looked pretty sharp in very limited snaps, going 3 of 3 for 12 yards and had 3 runs for 20 yards. Elijah Moore looked really good as he picked up a 6-yard catch and an 18-yard run on the day. DTR was the star of the show again, going 9 of 10 for 102 yards and a touchdown. DTR is looking like the clear backup over Dobbs right now, in my opinion, and maybe a potential future option for a different team one day if he continues his level of play this preseason. DeJuan Jones put on a pass-blocking clinic once again and has been incredible through 2 preseason games for the Browns. Rookie Siaki Ika looked really solid for the Browns defensive unit and could help the squad shut down the run this season at some point.
Tight ends, he's got a lot of room, and he takes it into Waukee as well. This one is a touchdown. The first of these here on 3rd and 7 from pressured, steps up, ball's in the middle of the field, and that one is picked off by Ronnie Hickman for the 2nd time tonight. Bond fires over the middle and has a touchdown. Looking, throwing, and it is incomplete.
The Denver Broncos then took on the Arizona Cardinals, where Russell Wilson played more than probably many expected. His stats weren't pretty, but he did manage a good QBR of a 102.4. He was also hit a lot in this game, so I'd expect him not to play as much in the remaining 2 preseason games. In a lengthy last drive, Russell Wilson finally connected with Jerry Jeudy for a 21-yard touchdown to give the starters some momentum moving into Week 2 as they were all taken out shortly after. The Arizona Cardinals had some good moments in this game, including the play of starters Isaiah Simmons and Zaven Collins, who looked to be transitioning into new positions. Clayton Tune didn't look very good in this game, as the Cardinals were definitely hoping for better after spending a 5th-round pick on him. His QBR was only a 70, and he also only completed 13 of his 23 passes. Luckily for the Arizona Cardinals, David Blau was very solid and led the team to victory with an 18-yard touchdown pass. Following the touchdown was a successful 2-point conversion by Amari DiMercado, clinching the victory for the Arizona Cardinals.
On the move, 4 seconds left. Got a man, it's caught! Touchdown! DiMercado wrapped up, but pushes the pile towards the goal line.
The Bills beat the Colts behind an almost perfect day from Matt Barkley, going 14 for 15 for 172 yards and 2 scores. James Cook had a solid game with 4 carries for 20 yards and a touchdown. No targets for Dalton Kincaid in a limited snap count, and he had Kyle Allen at quarterback during his playing time, which didn't help out at all. Khalil Shakir finished with 2 catches for 25 yards, including a really nice jumping grab, but that was followed by a rough 3rd down drop. For the Colts, it was Anthony Richardson's debut, and he also threw a pick, which was caused by a rushed off-balance throw that sailed over a wide receiver, who broke into his run a lot later than Richardson was planning on. He did use his size to advantage on a run, though, and threw some darts, as well as some inaccurate balls. Overall on the day, he was 7 for 12 for 67 yards and an interception. Alec Pierce had a drop on a perfectly placed deep ball from Richardson that could have really changed the perception of the game. I like what I saw from Josh Downs, though, who went for 29 yards on 2 grabs. And Darius Rush, a 5th-round rookie corner, had a pick 6 for the Colts defense.
Down the sideline for a pick 6.
There or not, or how severe that is.
2nd and 12. Barkley's got a man to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Barkley, end zone. He's got a man. Touchdown. Desmond Patman. Smith, the intended target on 1st and goal. Huntley spins his way to the goal line. Is he in? Yes, he is. A touchdown.
The Tennessee Titans then took on the Chicago Bears, where Justin Fields definitely sparked social media. This is where he completed all 3 of his passes for a combined 129 yards for 2 touchdowns. Both touchdown passes were very short completions that had a ton of run-after-catch yards attached. We definitely have to see more of Fields, but this does seem like a good start to boosting his confidence moving forward. DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert were both recipients to touchdowns and could show themselves as badly needed playmakers for this offense. 3rd-round draft pick Zach Pickens recorded 1 of 8 Bears sacks in a solid performance. 2nd-round pick Will Levis and 3rd-round pick Malik Willis both looked horrible in their game, getting sacked 4 times each and throwing an interception each. Willis's QBR was 70.3, while Levis's was 51.2. Rookie Tajay Spears rushed for 32 yards in a solid performance and looks like a great backup for Derrick Henry moving forward. The Bears ended up with a win thanks to early success from the starters.
Haskins over the top and in for the touchdown. Year 2 to year 3, etc. What do you like to see from your position in a front office as an executive as you see a big run? Peterman lofts it, got a man in Ford. Big block, get rewarded with a big pass. Levis lofts it, picked off! It's Braylon Trahan to seal the deal.
The Jets blew out the Panthers 27-0 behind a great game from Zach Wilson, who looked pretty solid, going 14 for 20 for 123 yards and a touchdown. It's very possible Rodgers is helping him start to actually develop as a quarterback in New York. Izzy Abanikanda was really strong, catching a few screen passes for 31 yards, and rushing 12 times for 56 yards as well, including 53 total yards after contact according to PFF. First-round edge rusher Will McDonald has an elite spin move and showed it off, grabbing a sack and 4 pressures on the day. He looked like an impact player on that loaded Jets defensive line right away. For the Panthers, Bryce Young looked completely composed in his debut as his drop back and poise looked really strong. He had no happy feet despite being rushed by a defensive line that was dominating his offensive line. The pass catchers are very questionable right now for Carolina as they got a very little separation in this game. They need to keep him healthy and step up around him because, to me, Bryce Young looks like he's ready to elevate that offense. He only played 11 snaps and was sacked once and hit 3 times, but finished 4 for 6 for 21 yards. Matt Corral threw a bunch of checkdowns which led to a solid stat line of 15 for 22 for 126 yards, but nothing crazy as the Panthers didn't put up a single point. Sadly, only 5 snaps in the day for Mingo, with no targets, but that could also say something as to where he's at in the depth chart right now.
9 seconds left. Corral trying to stay upright. Get rid of it. Throws it to the end zone. Intercepted at the end of the game.
The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Dallas Cowboys played in the next preseason game where Calvin Ridley finally played his first game in 2 years as he made 2 catches for 21 yards. Trevor Lawrence threw an interception but bounced back with a touchdown to Christian Kirk. Nathan Rourke probably had the best play of the weekend and honestly will probably end up having the best play of preseason when it's all said and done. He threw a touchdown pass for 21 yards after evading multiple defenders and as he was being tackled, released the ball. Will Grier also had a solid game with 199 yards and 2 touchdowns, one going to second-year wide receiver Jalen Tolbert. Rookies Deuce Vaughn and Tank Bigsby both were phenomenal in this game, as Deuce had 50 rushing yards, while Tank had 52. Not only were their stat lines very solid, but both had 20-plus yard runs that led to scores, and basically assisted both teams into their own end zones. Dallas's kicking situation still looks up in the air as their current kicker missed an extra point, as they were not able to come away with the victory in this one.
Vaughn up to the second level, breaks a couple tackles, and he's down. Here from Cowboys Nation. Deuce again. Deuce in the end zone. Formation right. Rourke will keep it. For the Rourke swarmed. Stays on his feet somehow. Will have a chance to get it away, and he completes it for a touchdown. For Will Grier in Dallas. Steps up, has some space. He completes it to John Stevens.
The Ravens were able to extend their preseason win streak, taking down the Eagles by a point, 20-19. For Philly, Jalen Carter had only 2 snaps, but on his first rep, he got to the quarterback. He looks like a freakish lineman talent who can make an impact immediately for Philly. Rookie Eli Ricks had an incredibly impressive debut, locking down his matchups, and finished with a pick 6 and a pass breakup on the day, and just 1 catch allowed on 4 targets. For Nolan Smith, I really like what I saw. He was matched up against a giant and Daniel Falele, but he held his own and beat him with a speed rush multiple times. I think the Eagles are going to be really happy he fell to them at 30. DeAndre Swift had a really nice 22-yard run, showing a bit of a truck stick and some wiggle. Rashad Penny had a solid Philly debut with 9 carries for 34 yards. Tanner McKee was a starting quarterback, and although he only completed half of his passes, he threw for 148 yards and looked pretty impressive for a 6th-round pick. For the Ravens, Zay Flowers had very limited play and only had 1 rush for 1 yard gained, and no targets, but he did draw 2 defensive penalty flags in his limited snaps. Not much else was notable for the Ravens, who played a very deep roster of backups in this one, but Tyler Huntley and Josh Johnson did just enough to pick up the win for them.
Right reads, and some of the throws have been off target.
And he'll run it here and pick up the first down as he slides down inside the 30.
Here we see a battle of both LA teams where the Chargers and the Rams took on each other. One of the biggest storylines leading into this game was definitely seeing Stetson Bennett. It seems like he is looked at as a possible replacement option for Matthew Stafford in the near future if all ends bad for Matt. Bennett was okay in this game as he had 191 yards and a touchdown. His first drive resulted in a 75-yard touchdown drive to rookie Puka Nacua, where 3 passes in the drive were nearly intercepted. Rookie Max Duggan got some playing time too, where he rushed for 20 yards and threw for 19. TCU star Darius Davis returned a punt for an 81-yard touchdown for the Chargers, while another TCU Bulldog, Quentin Johnson, caught his first preseason touchdown. Undrafted Elijah Dotson had 2 touchdowns for 37 yards and 40 yards. The Rams had 3 noticeable rookie starters for them in this one, including 2nd-round guard Steve Avila, 5th-round tackle Warren McClendon, and 6th-round corner Trey Tomlinson. Great play all around by the Chargers gave them an easy victory here.
Down the sideline, to the pylon, and into the end from the 4. Another carry for Dotson. More big room for Dotson. And another long touchdown.
The Saints beat the Chiefs 26-24 on Sunday, and Patrick Mahomes surprisingly played a drive in this game, but didn't do much and threw just 2 passes, giving way to Shane Buechele, who went 11 for 18 for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a crazy sack escape touchdown throw. Rashee Rice had a solid debut, grabbing 3 receptions for 30 yards, and Justin Ross scored a touchdown in his first game action in 2 years and finished with 29 receiving yards of his own. No targets for Sky Moore, which was a bit disappointing, but I'm sure they'll make sure to find him next week when he can register some more snaps, and also the low snap count was definitely due to where he stands in the depth chart. For the Saints, Derek Carr had a really good drive to start this game, going 6 for 8 for 70 yards and a touchdown in his only action. Backup Jameis Winston picked up right where he left off, going 11 for 13 for 92 yards and a touchdown as well. Rookie quarterback Jake Hayner looked the part, going 10 for 17 for 105 yards and a touchdown. He also threw a pick in the game, but was able to help secure the win for the Saints. Kendra Miller didn't get a ton of reps because the Saints played Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams, but in his 4 carries, he picked up 5 yards and then headed to the locker room with a knee sprain that he'll get further evaluated the next couple of days. Hopefully nothing serious and he can go out there again next week. A.T. Perry went off in this game. He had 6 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, leading the way for New Orleans. Michael Thomas picked up a 16-yard catch, and in Jimmy Graham's return, he also brought in a catch for 10 yards in the win.
At a high level already, a 4-time Pro Bowler. And we're intercepted! its way, and a win.
The San Francisco 49ers took on the Las Vegas Raiders, where the Raiders were very dominant in this game. They were led by 4th-round rookie Aiden O'Connell, who was very efficient and even had a QBR of 117.8. I'd argue that he looked better than former top 3 picks Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, who are fighting for their own backup spots as well. I would say this game might have sealed the deal for the 49ers, choosing Purdy to be their starter for the future. As someone who is very high on Lance, it looks like he shows no improvement in any game he plays, and definitely doesn't look like an NFL starter. Whether this is talent or confidence, he's not ready. Darnold looked a little bit better as he put up 84 yards and had a QBR of 97.9. Zamir White looked okay in this game as he currently is listed as the starter if Josh Jacobs sits out. He had 43 yards with a touchdown. This game didn't really feature much outside of the QBs, but we definitely were shown a lot from these guys. The 49ers will look to bounce back next week and see some better play from their backup quarterbacks.
Series, and the ball is out. Latu lost the ball. Been sacked in this ballgame more than once. McCormick walks it in.
Developing player, but he's got to show that he can make better decisions and be more active with the football.
Bell dropped it. Webb with the interception. Sam Webb with blockers. Sam Webb trying to.
Never as bad as they look when you win, or when you lose, and never as good as they look when you win.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. We are going to be continuing making preseason week-by-week recaps, as well as NFL week-by-week recaps. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit the notification bell, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.